Humans have always dreamt about the future. Back in the 19th century, time machine was dreamt about by Herbert Wells. It was not alone before and after. The future was the topic of many a conversation. Fantasies were often pessimistic and sometimes scary. According to some futurologists, some technologies that improve our lives seriously transform the society, and they will continue to do so in the next decades. But luckily, we've got a scientific way of predicting the future, and this technology is called Foresight. It allows for a forecast of industries and nothing short of a whole planet and agree on the desired future. And having a glimpse of this desired future, or whatever it comes to pass, we are going to be talking about that with two important gentlemen, Aleksandr and Artem. High School of Economics University on the part of Aleksandr, Sber on the part of Artem. A question for a brief answer for both the speakers. And we're going to dive deeper into various aspects of that going forward. Name one key change that will become part of our lives in 30 to 50 years thanks to technologies. Interesting? Scary? Happiness. Why would it be scary? Happiness. I'm very hopeful that technologies are going to be making our lives happier. How? And how many of us? That's the question. Okay, separately, on happiness, Artem, two words, personalization and personification. And I mean these two things to say that our approach to humans is going to be more focused on humans. Well, we did mention Herbert Wells, why no one should leave harmed, personified happiness. Okay, let's dive into detail. Aleksandr, this is a Foresight session, High School of Education. You are systemic and scientific in going about forecasts. In your opinion, what are the definitive trends? What are the defining trends for our life over the 30 to 50-year horizon? That's the mainstream, that's the mainstem of all of this podcast, AI. What will be the role played by AI in forming this joint, wholesome, happy future for all of us? We're going to talk separately about whether it's going to be happy for us. Well, as an economist, I would like to start with the economy being the most important thing, and economy is going to be cutting costs actively, in changing business models, in forming pricing ecosystems. But I'm looking at my colleague, Joseph Stiglitz. He is a Nobel Prize laureate winner, and he has been saying for a long time, now, guys, economic indicators not that important to benchmark economies or to drive forward to. If we look back at the pandemic, GDP per capita, that had been the basic indicator to compare countries against. Over the pandemic, we have been saying who's on lockdown, who died, how many died, who's recovering. In classical foresight, it's not so much about projecting, it's not about, it's more about forming the future, obviously based on the serious concepts, combination of qualitative and quantitative measures. We are actually transitioning to the Benny world, brittle, anxious, etc. If you look at the future professionally, then the big data analysis actually analyzed by AI is helping. I came with a set piece. It is done by A4, a Russian system developed by HSE. 650 million documents were fed into it. What are the global trends? A pretty remote horizon was set by you, 2050. What if it's the time horizon that is actually nearer? What are the trends that we are going to see? What about China, say, forecasting, the emergence of the great communist modern country by 2050, or South Korea, growth strategy for 2045, Japan, the 11th scientific foresight, again run until 2050, we will see that these countries are trying to take a very broad look at the entire notion of the future. It might be space-related, as in outer space. Many countries are looking at outer space exploration, starting with mining metals on asteroids. Elon Musk promised us things on Mars, on the Moon. Probably he'll land someone on the Moon by 2050. Going deep into the oceans, and that's an entirely different nature, that's an entirely different world. We know very little about the oceans, although we like to pollute them, and bacteria might come to help. Scientists have been modifying those bacteria to fight the pollution, and that's another trait of the future, this greenification, transitioning to this sustainable green development. In Japanese forecasts, AI has been working intensively in forming the models to project natural conditions, catastrophes, calamities, making people longer living, because for them, the main notion is society 5.0, people to live 120 years by 2030, and again, about the fusion, about the singularity, with technologies helping, the inclusivity developing. The Japanese are maintaining that, we should build an incessantly curious society. And again, if we look at the main traits of the society, then there's place for the new business systems, obviously the ecosystem approach. Some are saying things about decentralized autonomous companies, some are saying things about teal companies. Others saying, normal autocratic systems we discussed, I decided, not much worse in the current conditions. A big fork to pass, again, but these are the two, perhaps, threads that are manifest in our thinking about the future. And the second thread is obviously the sustainable development and careful treatment of the nature. Carbon neutrality is a serious activity. South Korea, by 2030, would like to maintain not just smart cities, but carbon-neutral cities in the number of 10. That's a whole different principle. Now, who's going to live in that city? Is that the human 2.0? What are the features of human 2.0? Longer living, incessantly curious. Okay. The Japanese are said to be healthy until death, immersed in the ecosystem. Will they be assisted by robots? Will they be recommending, a product to eat or a restaurant to visit to restore a certain balance, or, change microbiota? That's a question, although these things are happening in Japan. Hopefully it's a responsible human, and not irresponsible, as some sociologists are saying, tracking the carbon footprint. That will have to be done to be carbon neutral, smart offices, etc.
And the most important thing is, I do sincerely hope that with all our future, humans will remain happy. Just maybe one thing I want to highlight, and one question. Now, you mentioned the sustainable development as part of the foundational trends. It's like a mega trend, or a value-based trend, economy trend. And what about sustainable development? It's about everything. It spans across different other trends. It's a kind of a platform. We call it the platform, and this is the trend that is going to remain with us for many years. And this seems like a remote outlook, but people will say 2050, come on, we need to work out the things up until 2030. But the speed of decision-making and new technology development and implementation are increasing, but like 2050, but what about like a 30, 50-year outlook? And yeah, I can have to ask about AI. What is its place? It's like a meta technology, an end-to-end technology that is going to help to make the trends and factors real. The president is actually saying that this technology is an end-to-end technology, a technology that goes across different industries. But I remember the sci-fi writers and all the futurists, they usually had these humans that had all these interfaces and robots and, you know, very skilled, but the human was at the center. So AI, as a driver of international trends, will play the key role, the decisive role, but who's going to decide on that role? Who's going to decide on the ideas, a human or AI? That's a big question. So, you know, a human starting from 16th century is at the core of our universe. Will the person will humans remain the cause? I would like to add on that question, the neuroscience. How does it prepare us for that future that Human 2.0, who will be curious, who will be very happy, who will be able to colonize Mars and go deep in the ocean. If he remains there, by the way. Yeah, well, you know, actually like 3 years ago, Nancy Canvisher, as one of the key experts in neuroscience, the most famous ones from MIT, said that neuroscience, she thought, was something that is not applicable. This is something that we do in the academies, but basically we're just fulfilling our curiosity needs. And the interesting thing is that more or less at that time AI started to permeate in data scientist labs. This is when it is starting to be used actively in the labs, and currently we are experiencing a huge neuroscience revolution because, well, right now neuroscience is not only becoming an applicable science, down-to-earth science, but it is one of the drivers, really. I have this kind of, you know, thing that I want to demonstrate. Neuroscience also about the brain and about the detecting brain disease. Like there is a problem, brain problem or any other problem, health problem, and he comes to the doctor, and the doctor has to classify this problem, to put it in some cluster. And for that cluster, he has some algorithms to make a decision for a patient. That sounds quite logical, right? I mean, this is how you have to treat patients, but that's not so. What is happening in the healthcare right now? We're talking about the implementation of AI for personalizing the treatment. And this revolution can be compared when people started to use some medicine instead of dancing around the patient, hoping that they will chase the illness away. And currently the digital twin is a big thing there, and I have been working on that issue for quite a while. And actually now we're talking about billions of dollars that are invested in digital twin in healthcare. Digital twin is a digital copy of our bodies on the molecular level, drilling down to the molecular level. So this is a full portrait. Ideally, we should have a full copy of a person. So that means that doctors won't need to see patients. They won't need to call patients, because having such a copy, a doctor can predict such a disease. Well, you know, Artem, I want to understand how does that work. I have a digital twin uploaded in my gadget. Every day I I have to update the base, I have to do the monitoring. How it is done? Well, this is where the AI is actually comes into play. So it will predict whether I can have this or that disease. Yeah, it can predict. Yeah, but there are viruses, there are traumas, really. I mean, everything can go differently. Yeah, but I'm talking about serious diseases, you know, something that is being worked on for, something that's been in the focus of the attention, like genetic diseases. How do you treat genetic diseases? Very often, genetic diseases do not show around. But after you can live without noticing that you have a genetic disease, but after some time, everything will go south. Like Parkinson's disease, for example, there's no treatment. There's a lot of treatment programs, but it's very difficult to treat a person. President included in our program, including in the digital economy and economy of data programs. It's very hard to do it applicable to the humans, but if it takes 1 year to develop medicine, or not 7 years, and if it takes several months to develop a vaccine, not several years, that's obvious. The obvious benefits are there. And there are some very good application cases in nuclear as well, in car manufacturing, in designing, when you can use digital twins to test quicker, like crash tests. You don't have to check the car safety. You model it in several weeks, not in several months. And this is a reality right now, and one of the priorities of our country is the development of digital twins. It's not about the humans yet, but it's about the manufacturing, it's about the objects. But people will come as well. Pharmaceutical companies are interested in that because now it takes years to test pharmaceutical products, and they would be very happy to remove all these years and to shorten it and to test drive everything based on the digital twins of the person. That's a lot of money we're talking about. And if you look at the prices for the medicine, they are going down, starting from the 90s. So less and less medicine is patented by pharmaceutical companies, and they are actually losing a lot of money. Yeah, but hope that the technology will be scaled, and the scaling will be driven by the AI. But we're talking about extending the lifespan or immortality. I wouldn't put the immortality question, maybe, but the lifespan, yeah, for sure, it will be affected. And I'll ask that question. Unfortunately, we don't have the planetary scale goals. You know, like Skalderos says about singularity, says by 2050. Together with Ray Kurzweil, we will achieve immortality, or Elon Musk want to get 1 million people to Mars. Is it that bad to put such a huge goal? Like immortality. And I think, where did I take the checkup last time? Think about that. Digital twins, that's great, but, you know, having regular checkups, that's something you can start with. And now the major risks and the challenges for the future, that that you are seeing, and AI. Is it a risk in itself? What are the risks that it can mitigate in the future to make our future sustainable? We have talked a lot about sustainability. Let's go back to that sustainability topic. And where will it pave our way for the happy future? Scientists love to say that any technology is neutral from an ethical point of view, and how you use it. Our population from 18 to 65, they said, well, assistants, at work, at home, 18% decided that they'll be okay. They might use it. But they wanted to have sensors, smart clothes, sensors for the food quality, and they were ready to buy that. Now, 2/3 of Russian population want to have an AI assistant. 1/3 would be ready to actually try out the AI surgery. But as for the cookies made of roaches or some artificial meat, only 6% were ready to try that out. So people are not ready to use AI here because we like to eat good stuff. And it happens in Russia and in other countries where large players, large technology players, or large banks, large organizations, and large R&D centers raise awareness among the youth, among the seniors, on the new capabilities that new technologies deliver, and the threats as well, obviously. Well, you know, Artem, I'm very interested in the following. Like, the neuroscience can help you connect the brain to some external devices, and that means that the external devices can be connected to the brain. To which brain? It can be connected to the president, to the minister, to some minister, or to a patient who actually needs that. Who is going to manage that? Who is going to control that? Well, obviously, the risk is there. We agree on that. AI is the evolution of everything, and as any state-of-the-art disruption that changes everything, our science and everything, means that there are opportunities that are opened up, and there are other things as well, like risks. I have been collaborating with Skoltech for a while, and we were creating for paraplegia patients who were paralyzed, fully paralyzed. They could manage the robot, the robotic hand, with their thoughts. This is something that we do all the time, like take a glass of water and drink it. We don't even think about that, and for them, these people, they were crying because they were so happy, because when you do that, you think, wow, these possibilities are absolutely fantastic. But if you look at the 50-year horizon, I think that there will be fully fledged avatars for people, and they won't be able to only give the new life to paraplegia patients, but they will help people to actually do some dangerous work. If my avatar would be washing my dishes, I'll be okay with that. Or maybe go to work even. Yes, that's true. Yeah, and get the money on Sber card, because these simple actions that are natural for us are making these patients so happy. But how does that change our healthcare system, our behavioral system? Going back to Earth, if you look at our population, when, for example, a doctor says you have to take antibiotics for 7 days, everyone is doing that for 7 days. Not when you're becoming better, feeling better, you stop at the 3rd day. You know, we always do that. We always do that. Oh, okay, finally, the awareness was raised. So AI and assistants, can they help people to not violate the rules, especially the rules set by the medical professionals? Because I think we have that. Yeah, I think this antibiotic issue is great. If you stop having antibiotics earlier than you should have, that means that you are doing a very bad thing for the people around you, because you are then spreading the bacteria that are resistant to the antibiotics. So you're not only responsible for yourself, but for the people around you. And this is something that we need to work on. Yeah, if we want sustainable development, we want sustainability. Yeah, we should not expect the government to regulate everything in this sector included. It is our responsibility as well. It's the responsibility of the businesses that invests in these technologies, like the banks. But for that, you have to change our stance in the society, and that's great. We're going back to what we started with. AI-centric future. Can we expect that? I do hope that human will remain at the center. Humans will be augmented with AI, with technologies. I hope these people will be responsible, will live longer, will ensure sustainability. We're having some fun around the upbring themselves. When we talk about AI, sustainable development, you should not remove the responsibility for the responsible behavior. You're responsible for the responsible behavior of yourself. That's the idea. But I think that if we go to these realities and we invest in that, because right now 87% of people are covered by internet. I think soon will be like 100% of the people will be covered by internet. That means totally different capabilities, including telemedicine. I think that sometimes using some quite simple tools, we can make the so-called distant future not so distant after all. But what about the challenges and opportunities that AI help to resolve? How can AI help us to resolve our sustainable development goals? We're talking about climate challenges, access to education, access to high-quality healthcare. Maybe the difference in wages will be mitigated. AI, will it be an assistant? It will be an assistant. AI serves economists, starting with analysts. Big data analysis, obviously, we're talking about saving millions of documents, document analysis. And AI will make it very quick. And then AI-driven decisions also can underpin sustainable development, and AI can obviously help you to cut the costs significantly. These new models, new digital systems, cutting the costs in manufacturing. We're also talking about monitoring the security and safety issues in the areas where there should be no humans, basically. The safety concerns are the ones that are already being addressed by AI. If we're talking about the climate agenda, I hope that in the distant future, AI will help to address the challenge of biodiversity. Keeping the biodiversity is something that we were talking about already, by the way. Okay, Artem, building on Kirill's question, name a few problems that AI will be able to resolve in the nearest future. Well, I think that in general AI will be ubiquitous. It will always even be present in courts, for example, which is quite unexpected. I think that in the very near future, AI will be actively used there, together with neuroscience, because actually, currently, like you can train AI to look at to scan the brain, to see the activities, and to recreate the images that a person sees. You don't know what the person sees, what the person is thinking about, but you can say it with AI. These technologies, these research papers are being published in great numbers. It has been started just quite recently. Yeah, so you can visualize the witness, the witnesses. So 7 days program for antibiotics and investment in sustainable development, right? Yeah. This is something that we are going to live in, right? Thank you so much, Aleksandr, Artem. Thank you so much. That was a very unexpected, very surprising views and concepts that you shared. Many people still think that these integrated chips and robots and digital avatars, this is something in a very in a very distant future, but actually it is working and it is yielding some results. And obviously we have the power to take advantage of these technologies for the benefit of the society, because it's not possible to stop that development for this society of the humankind. You have to be aware about that. You have to be ready for that, because it's just happened very soon. Artificial intelligence is a tool, and how it's going to be used, well, that's for us.